Hello YouTube. At the University of Washington, one of the best places to get food is University Way, otherwise known as the Ave. It features food from a variety of different places in the world, but one of my favorites is gyros. Now, if someone was to go to the Ave looking for a gyro, they would not be presented with one option, not two options, but 8 different locations where they can buy gyros. That's so many. Why are there 8? No one knows. With this many places to choose from, you've obviously got to ask the question, which one is best? There are 8 different places, and only one of them can have the title of Best Gyro Store on the Ave. Unfortunately, it would take someone of immense tenacity and stupidity to have the patience to try every single one of them. That person is me. I am that person. I forced my friends to go with me to all 8 of these locations and rank them so that we could decide which one was the best. Before we begin, the 8 categories that we'll be ranking all our restaurants on today are price, restaurant presentation, customer service, speed, taste, food presentation, food quality, and mess. Without any other interruption, grab a snack, maybe put the video on 2x speed, and let's begin.
Price.
I'd give that price like a solid 8. Maybe 8.5.
I'd give it an 8.99 out of 10.
I'd say that is reasonable, and I'll give it 8. Restaurant presentation.
It's definitely very ambient.
I would say good vibes.
Speed.
A 10. That was pretty quick.
That was pretty quick.
Now it's time for the eating to commence.
What?
Customer service.
I feel like customer service was fine.
It was average. Whenever something's average to me, I give it a 5.
It was quick. They got to the point. 7.
I'd give it like an 8. I don't like it when people talk to me.
Taste.
That was a solid 9.
I would concur.
I think that I will give it a 7.
Food presentation.
I'd give the presentation a solid 7.5. I feel like it was nice.
I would say 8. Looked nice in the little bag it came in.
I would agree with an evaluation about 7.5.
Quality of food.
I don't feel like I could ethically give it anything under a 9. This tastes like it was just whipped up and all the vegetables were very crisp, very nice.
I would agree. I would say 8.5.
I would agree with an evaluation of 8 for the quality. I think that it was...
No one said 8. You're like, I would agree with 8.
I would agree with 8. You basically said 8.
Mess.
4. I had a very difficult time even getting it together to put in my mouth. I had to eat it on the table for the solid first half.
I would say 8. I had 0 trouble dealing with eating it. Hands are perfectly clean. Nothing, no residue. Went down easy.
I made a huge mess. I think I lost 20% of the mass of my gyro to the table. So for that, I'd give it a 4 in mess.
Kayla wildcard.
Kayla wildcard, I'd give it 6.
Price.
A little bit more than the other one. Let's say 6.5.
I'd give it a 6.5 on price.
I will give it a 6. This is approaching the upper end.
Singular tomato on the whole thing.
Restaurant presentation.
I'm gonna give it a solid 5.
I'm gonna give it a 5 too, but it has the potential to be better. They just need some more of the art that they've got going on.
I will also give it a 5. We literally picked the most interesting wall to sit in front of. Every other wall is just bland.
Customer service.
Customer service gets a 10. This man helped me open the bathroom door for a solid 5 minutes because it wouldn't open, the code wouldn't work.
Yeah, I'd say it's good. 8, very quick customer service.
My customer service, I think it was average, so I'll give it 5.
Speed.
Jasper ordered before me, but received his gyro after, so...
Gyro type dependent, I guess.
I'd say that I actually started noticing that I was waiting this time, so I'll give it a 6.
It was definitely less speedy than the last one, but I don't think it's worth anything less than a 7.
Yeah, 5. I think it was reasonable. Cheers, my friends.
Taste.
I would say a 7. I think it was a little bit less tasty than the previous one.
I concur with a 7.
I would give it, I think, a 4. I did not enjoy this one as much. I think the chicken was a little bit too salty for me.
Food presentation.
I would say a 6.
I think it gets a 5 from me. It didn't wow me.
I would agree. It was like probably 5.
It looked appetizing, but it didn't look pretty.
Quality of food.
I would say maybe a 6.5. Like it was good, but again another little step down from Shawarma King.
I'd say it probably got like a 6 from me too. I don't know. I think the bread was yummy, but I don't know. This meat did not taste as fresh, and the veggies were also a little limp.
I will give it a 5.5 on quality. I think the lettuce was subpar lettuce.
Mess.
Hands are clean. I did drop a little sliver of meat, but that was a personal skill issue, not necessarily a reflection of the food. I would give it an 8.
I'd give it like a 7.5. There was like a little sauce that would run down my fingers, but I could eat it. Like I could hold it and eat it.
Okay, I would also give it a 7. I still made a mess, but I think that's just skill issue. I didn't like dump the contents out. I think the food delivery system was just a bit better this time, where I didn't make a huge mess.
Kayla Wildcard.
Kayla Wildcard gets 36 because like he really like helped me open the door. Actually, wait, no. 32 because they get points deducted because there was onions. The music, they got a +6, but they get the -4 because of the onions. So total added Kayla points, 32.
Price.
I'd give it like an 8 because it is less than $9. Although it was slightly smaller, I still feel like the price to food ratio was pretty good.
I'd give it a 9 because Seattle prices are pretty high, and this is lower than I think all the other Euros.
Yeah, it's been lower than the other ones so far, so 8.5.
This is my first time here. I'm giving it an 8. I don't know what the other prices were.
Euro time is $6. This was like 8.5. I don't know. Euro time, still the best. So this, I have to give this like a 4 on the price.
Yeah, I give it an 8. This is pretty reasonable.
Restaurant presentation.
Inside, if you go in, is like a solid 5. But if you just ignore the fact that there is an inside and you just go to the window, it's easily like an 8 because it's giving. Like, I don't know what it's giving, but it's giving something.
Okay, it's easily a 10. That was one of Kayla's worst opinions. If you look outside, they have not only the most fire poster on the Ave, they have like a cool window and they have a painting of a tree. It's a very eclectic mashup of different nature, and I feel like it's very peaceful and scenic.
All right, I'm gonna go midway between Kayla and Jason with a 9. I think the inside
Nowhere near midway.
is nicely decorated. Wait, did you not say 8?
No, I said 5.
Oh, midway between them with a 9. It looks nice.
I kind of agree with Kayla's points, but the snowman kind of makes it go to 8.5.
I'm not going to reiterate Jason. Simple 10.
I will modify my answer to a 6 because on further reflection, there is a wreath, and it's like a bubble wrap wreath-ish. Like, I don't know what is going on it, but that actually, I'll bump it to 6.5. I'll give it 6.5.
I rate it 6, but I like the tree, so 7.
Customer service.
Oh, customer service, I give it a 10.
Easy 10. That guy in there, he said, good to see you again, because I'm a Cedar's frequent.
10. There wasn't a lot of interaction, but the interaction was nice. What? I'm being serious.
You're attracted to him?
What? I said an interaction.
I swear I heard attraction.
That would be insane.
I would have to say 9. I think there's some serious attraction between us. Might have to ask for his number next time.
It's easily a 10. If you go and they're not busy, they will have a full-on conversation. This guy knows like my career path.
It's a 10. That's exactly what kind of customer service I want. They don't talk to you too much. They get it out fast. I didn't even know what the price was until after he took my card. So I feel like that was the perfect interaction.
Speed.
10. Like, this man whipped up €6 in like easily like 10 minutes, maybe less.
I would say an 8. Caleb perceived the time was going faster because she was listening to The Weeknd, so...
I would say 9. Feels like it was faster than the other ones.
I also give it an 8. I think it took a really long time because I was really hungry.
I'm going to give it like a 6.5 because my first time going here, it was a 25-minute Euro, and that's not acceptable.
I'm gonna give it a 6 because I feel like I waited a while. I don't know. That's true. Maybe I'll give it a 7.2.
Taste.
I thought that this was a unique gyro, I think. Like, the chicken I had was different from all the other chicken, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it an 8. I think I still prefer the cream of the Shawarma King.
I'm gonna put this out there. Not a big tomato guy, but like the tomatoes were nice and slim, perfect amount of tomato. That bumps up at least 2. It could use more spice, I'll be honest. I thought the beef was good, lettuce to beef ratio on point, and the pita was fresh. I'm giving this an 8.
I also give it an 8. I agree with a lot of Luke's points, but I feel like it was kind of bland in like spice and sauce wise.
No, he doesn't.
I would give it an 8.5. I thought it was spiced well. The pita bread was a little bit crispy, a little bit chewy.
I would give it an 8 as well. I think it was really good. I think if you ever get the hot sauce here, the hot sauce here is really fire. I don't know what they put in it.
Bump me up 0.5. I forgot about Cedar's secret sauce. I have a picture of that. That shit is crazy. Hold on. Let Jason continue. I'm getting this picture.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Like, I feel like that's enough.
Okay, I'm gonna bandwagon off of Jasper and go with a solid 8.5. I feel like my lettuce was a little less crispy than it could have been, but I do feel like it was an overall satisfying gyro. It did taste like he whipped it up right in front of us, which he did. I don't know if it was that bland. The sauce was like pretty strong in my opinion, but it was just the quality of vegetable, I think, that got it for me. So I'm gonna reduce it by 1.5.
Dark green and chunky, and it's nice and spicy. It adds a lot to the gyro.
Food presentation.
This might be controversial. I'm gonna give it like a 6. I don't feel like it wowed me. It did what it needs to do, but it was okay. It wasn't ugly. It looked appetizing. It looked like some good food. It just wasn't giving as much as it could have.
I give it a 7. The gyro itself, I don't think there's anything like special about how it looks, but they wrap it in like a yellow piece of paper and then like a blue or red checkered piece of paper. So it reminds me of Croatia.
I'm gonna go with a 6.5. I think the actual gyro itself was about average, you know, what you'd expect, but it was wrapped up very neatly and nicely.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I don't really think gyros can be pretty, but I really liked my checkered paper. So
I just enjoy looking at it. It's 7.75.
I would give it a 5. It was pretty average.
Quality of food.
I think the quality of ingredients was pretty good. I will give it a 7.
I think this category is redundant. I went over the quality in my taste section. I'm gonna give it an 8 again.
I have no mental way of like checking this, so I'm opting out of this question.
I would agree with John. I would say 7.
I'd probably give it a 7. Like, it's not super fresh, but like it works, it's edible, it's good.
I give it a 6.5. The veggies can just be a little crispier, but it does what it needs to do.
Mess.
I'd give it like a 7. I feel like there was some sauce that kept running down my hands, and my lettuce did fall in my paper a couple of times, but it did not like retract from my ability to eat this gyro. And we were standing. I've got to give them some slack.
I'd give it a solid 8 or 9, like 8.5 maybe, because it was a little bit messy, but compared to like the other good gyros on the Ave, this is definitely the neatest.
I would give it also an 8.5. The sauce pooled a little bit at the bottom, but I had zero difficulty with eating it and keeping my hands clean. There was no problems there.
I give it like a 6 because I'm staring at sauce on John's jacket right now.
I give it a 9.5. It was a simple 3 to 4 biter. No sauce on my hands. Maybe licked my lips once. Simple, easy, clean.
In my continued quest to eat a gyro without making a mess, I failed again, so I give it a 4. A giant tomato fell on my leg. I almost died. I don't even feel like it was a skill issue this time. It came out of the back of the gyro. I wasn't expecting it.
Kayla wildcard.
This definitely gets more bonus points than the other two. I feel like I can give this a solid 45.
Price.
I'm gonna have to give this like maybe a 4. It was $11. Like, that just does not cut it.
I agree. I'd say 3.5 because I paid $14 with the rice.
I would have to agree. I'll give it a 5.
I'll give it a 5. I think it was a pretty average price.
Restaurant presentation.
I'd say the presentation of this place is pretty bland, to be honest. I feel like the only real interesting thing is like the Alladin sign and then this big ass painting. So I'll give it a 5.
I'm gonna go a little bit off of what John is thinking. I'm gonna give this a 9. I appreciate the interior design. There's some nice like pottery and baskets and stuff. Overall, pretty minimalist. Things are concentrated in the front. I like it.
Well, presentation gets a 10. This is easily like the best place that we've been to. There's a huge painting right there. It's like, that is exactly what I have wanted to see this whole time.
I'm gonna give this like a light 9. Beautiful mural on the right. A little like lamp up there. It's pretty cute. And then there's a Free Palestine sticker, pretty based.
Customer service.
I'm gonna give it an 8. You know, it's not as personal as Cedar's was, but he was nice. He brought our food out in a pretty nice manner. It's an 8.
I'd give this a 10 too. It is the perfect amount of just like not like minimal speaking. I don't want people to talk to me.
I'm gonna agree with Kayla, 10. The time between me saying my order and him handing me the receipt to sign was sub 30 seconds, which is crazy.
I'll give it an 8. It was really good, but I feel like Cedar's really cheered me up, and I can't also like I can't give this an equivalent score basically. So this is an 8, I'd say.
Speed.
The speed was pretty fast, and he brought like all 4 of them out at the same time, so I can't complain about the speed. I think it was a pretty solid like 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 9. It was very good speed.
I concur with 9.
This is a 10. Like, when you consider the fact that this is the only man back here, and he brought out Kayla's rice and our 4 euros in the speed they did, this is an expeditious man working back there, and I can't hate.
Taste.
I think I give us like 8.5. It's a little bit bigger. The spice was there. The pita was like nice and soft. There wasn't any tomato, and there was a lot of lettuce, which made me happy. So I'm gonna give it 8.5.
This gets a 9 from me. Maybe I'm gonna bump it up to like a 9.25 because I was just very pleased with the slices of meat. I think the chunks of meat were probably the cause of the sauce running. I don't know if that is true or if those two things even correlate, but this one had slices and it was significantly easier to eat than the other two. And it was very yummy.
All right, I'm gonna say 10 out of 10. Easily the best one that I've had so far.
I'm going to give this an 8. It was pretty good, but I feel like there's still others that I enjoyed more.
Food presentation.
I think the food presentation was pretty okay. I really like the red flecks of magic dust on the gyros.
I think it's paprika.
Paprika, as it's more commonly known. And for that, I'll give it 8.
9.5. I think it was presented very nicely, picturesquely, on the little tray. The paprika was a nice touch. It was very it was like a loaded gyro. There's a lot of stuff in there, which I think is a bonus.
I'm gonna concur with a 10.
I'm gonna give it a 10. You got like these cute little gyro bags, and there's also free water right over there. That's pretty nice. That's a big bonus for me. Simple 10.
Quality of food.
This is a 9. I felt like my meat was very nice, juicy, tender, and the pita was soft and fresh.
9. Same reasons as Luke. I feel like my lettuce could have been a little crunchier, but that was like fine. Its texture was fine either way. It just could have been slightly fresher.
I'm gonna agree with Kayla on the 9, especially on the lettuce part. I would also like to point out there was like a lot more meat on this gyro than some of the other ones.
I was initially off-put by the sliced meat, but actually it was pretty good and maybe slightly less messy. I give the quality of food an 8.
Mess.
I ended up with another side salad. This was definitely on me because I took it out of the wrap. So this is a me mess, and for that, I gave it a 4 because I still made a giant mess.
I'm going to give this a 6.5 because it was a decent bit messier than the other ones, but that was for the sole reason that there was so much more like meat and lettuce in it. It was just like so much more stuff to eat that was like starting to overflow a little bit. So I can't even hold that against them.
I'm gonna give the messiness like a 7. I do feel like I had an easier time eating this gyro than the previous gyros.
This is a 10 for me. When you consider the portion to pita ratio, it picked up really easily, only a little bit of lettuce fell off, and they give you a nice fork on the side. It just made it nice and simple, and the sauce was not very runny. I did not get any of it on my hands like John did. It was pretty simple to eat.
Kayla, wild card.
This gets 100 bonus points. This was the best place that we've been to so far.
Price.
I think the price was pretty reasonable. I wouldn't say that it's crazy, but it would be like 7.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it was like $9.95. That seems fair to me, especially because of the portion.
I am gonna give this a 5. With tip, it came out to $12.
I'm gonna give the price around a 6. $11 for one meal for one person is a little much.
$11.25 after tax is inexcusable. This is a 4.
Restaurant presentation.
I do like this nice little like couch corner. So
This is fire.
this is pretty fun. So I'll give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I feel like in the front it feels really crowded, but as soon as you get out of like the bottleneck space where you have to order at the window, there like look at this couch setup. This is fire.
I'm gonna give it a 7. The front is not bad. It's like business in the front, party in the back. It's the mullet of shops. What can I say?
I think I give it a 6 because it's not that cohesive. It kind of looks a little drabby.
They have like a print of a custom anime girl at Alladin's right at the register, and I just think that's unmatched by any other establishment, so I'm gonna give this like a solid 9.
Customer service.
I think this customer service was kind of average. But I'm gonna give it a 4.
I'm gonna give it a 6. It was like kind of confusing because the numbers aren't announced in chronological order, and so like I had to wait until everyone else got their gyro.
I am gonna give it an 8. It was very quick, like service.
I give it a 5. It was very mid-average interaction. Nothing special, nothing bad about it.
This is a 7. It was solid.
Get it? Because I said it really fast.
I think the speed was definitely a bit long, so I'll probably give it like maybe a 5.
I would also give it a 5. I ordered first and I got mine last. That's all I have to say.
I would say like a 5, you know, average.
I give it like a 6.5. I feel like the food itself didn't take that long. Like I didn't feel like I was waiting very long, but they called the order number and then we had to go up and then wait a little bit. And then they brought to me like the wrong order twice.
Nobody is mentioning that there is a decent bit of traffic here, and when you consider that, I think they're pretty quick. Like, you can watch them cook. They're cooking pretty fast. They're doing all they can do. I think this is like a 7.5.
Taste. I think in terms of taste, this was definitely one of the best. Like, I really enjoyed their chicken. I think it was very unique among all the other gyro places, so I will give this one, I think it deserves a 10. I don't think there's much room for improvement. Everything about it was good.
I'm gonna give this a 9.25. It was really yummy. I feel like this is an easy solid 10 contender if they get their meat to veggie ratio better. I feel like I was eating a lot of meat. If I had some more lettuce, especially more cucumber, the tiniest tweak and it would have been fire. The taste was probably the best category for me.
I'm gonna say 9, maybe 9.5 even. I think it tasted very good. Lots of meat, lots of sauce.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I agree with Kayla. The meat to veggie ratio is a little off, and I only had one tomato, and it was very thick, and it was at the top.
This could be a 10, but it's just like, it's either I'm gonna eat lettuce or I'm gonna eat meat. I didn't get lettuce and meat at the same time, and I have a pretty big fucking mouth. And then there's like a quarter of a tomato, like on top of my thing. Like, slice the fucking tomato. I want to eat thinly sliced tomatoes. This is a trend in my reviews. Like, this could be a 10. I'm knocking it down. 7.25. Like, do better.
Food presentation.
I think the food presentation was pretty reasonable. 5.
I'm gonna give it a solid 7. The meat had a really good color, and I also think the veggies also had like there was just something bright about it.
I'm gonna say 8. I think it was presented pretty nicely. I like the little tinfoil around it.
I'm giving it a 5 because I think one of my biggest problems with it is we are sitting down right now, and they didn't ask us if we were eating in or to go, and they put all of our food in paper bags rather than like a tray like the other Alladins had.
6. Certified mid.
Quality of food.
I think the quality of food was pretty good. It was, like I said, very like high quality ingredients. The chicken was like juicy, so I'll give the quality of food an 8.
This gets a 10. Everything was really, really yummy because I feel like the food quality is really good. Like, that chicken was fresh. The veggies were all fresh. The only problem was the proportion, but that's a different category.
I would disagree with you there, Kayla. I'm gonna give it a 9. The only things topping it from a 10 is the tomatoes were not great.
I don't have a lot of input. 10.
This is a 9 because of the tomatoes.
Mess.
On the messiness for this one, I'm not a fan of how it was like served, just because I didn't know how to take it out of the bag, which I guess might just be an issue with yours, but I feel like the strategy where you like wrap it in paper rather than putting it in a bag is more efficient for a gyro, because like I had to reach into the bag and like get my hands on the gyro to pull it out, so it definitely created a bit of a mess. But in terms of actually eating it, I did so much better than all the other times. So I think like I was significantly cleaner this time. It was insane.
What?
Yeah, I did so well.
What rating did you give it?
I'm giving it a 6
I'm
because
proud of you.
Oh
I
my
did
God.
well.
I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
This gets a 3. I had maybe a 2.5. I literally had sauce dripping all over my body. Like, it was smeared on my face. John will put in the clips of us eating. You'll just see I did not have a good time eating this. But it was literally falling apart before I had even picked it up.
I'm gonna give this a 7. John, I'm proud of you. Kayla, I'm not. Overall, a little bit messier than the other ones. Still not a problem for little Jasper like me.
I give it a 5. This goes back to the presentation. I'm upset that there wasn't like a tray or a plate that stuff could fall into. I'm looking at lettuce on the table right now that fell out of my gyro. It's also, their gyros, they have a lot of stuff in it, so it doesn't really like close properly.
This is like a 2. Of course, I didn't create any mess because I'm a little meticulous boy, but this is like by far the messiest gyro. This shit just wants to fall apart, and it mostly has to do with how they place their fucking vegetables on top, and that shit just rolls off. Like, it is not very nice.
Okay, 1, my pita bread was literally ripping apart the second I started eating it, and 2, there's like 3 layers of paper, which I feel like was very inefficient on top of putting it in a plastic bag. Like John was saying, the way that the gyro is like housed is just really inefficient.
Kayla wildcard.
This is really tough because there's a lot good going on, but there's also a lot not good going on. I think I can reasonably give this 60 points. Actually, I think I'm going to reduce it to 50. I think that's a nice halfway point between the highest and the lowest. But I do think that this is really yummy.
I give the price a 9. I think it was pretty reasonable.
I would disagree with you there. I don't know. I'm going to give it a 5 because I think it's about average for the gyros. I don't think it's anything crazy.
I give it like a 6. I'd say it's about average, but the quantity of food you get for the price is a little bit less. Easily a 10 out of 10. They have a giant tree painting, and they also have like inspirational quotes all along the walls. And the only sincere love is love of food. And I feel like that's pretty based.
I'm going to give it a 7. I was not as big a fan of the inspirational quotes because it was just like written in marker on the wall.
I'll give it a 9. I couldn't tell if it was like intentional decorations or if it was like graffiti or what was going on, but the quotes were pretty funny.
Customer service.
Samir is a very nice fella. I'll give him a 10. He was like on par with Cedar's kindness, I think.
Yeah, I would give it a 9. He's a lovely man to be around. Very nice.
I'd give it a 10. I think he's the nicest person on the Ave who doesn't work at the Bob.
Speed.
I'd give it like an 8. It wasn't like too slow, and we did get lots of food.
Yeah, I would give it a 7. I think it was relatively quick considering we did get a lot of stuff, and we ordered at 4:30, so he was not exactly like ready to start like churning out gyros. Like, he was kind of just like sitting around before we got in there.
Yeah, I will also give it a 7. He went from full it's nothing time, like he was not doing anything, to fully cooking within minutes, and he got all of our food out for like what, 5 people, so I think it was a 7.
Dazed.
I think the taste was a bit sour. It wasn't bad, but I think there have been better, so I will give it a 6.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I was not a huge fan of the lettuce/sauce combination, but I thought the meat was very good. It was a bit more lammy than the other places, which I'm a fan of.
I'm gonna give it like a 4. I also really like the lamminess of the meat. Like, the meat was really good, but like everything else I didn't really like that much. And it's very unfortunate because this is the gyro I want to love the most because the guy who owns the place is so nice, but every time I go there it's just like slightly disappointing.
Food. Presentation.
So it was kind of wrapped like a shawarma, not a gyro. Bread was also like a lot thinner than pita bread usually is. I don't know. It's hard to read the presentation because we carried it back through the rain in paper bags, so that might affect it a little bit. So I'll just give it a 7 and give the benefit of the doubt.
I am not going to give the benefit of a doubt. 4.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm a harsh critic.
Quality of food.
I think the quality of food was slightly lower than other places. Like, the bread was just lower quality, and I think everything was just a bit below.
Yeah, I just wanted to give an example.
That's the bread. I think there have been better, so I will give this a 4.5.
I'm gonna give this a 3.5 for pretty much the similar reasons that John said.
I'll give it like a 4. I feel like the first time I went here, they definitely used a different bread, because I remember I went here and I'm like, wow, that's like really good pita bread. And this time, the bread was not very good. And everything else was also kind of mid. So, I'll give it like a 4.
Mess.
This is like, I don't know, it's because they didn't put a lot of stuff in the gyro, I feel like it was pretty cleanly to eat. I know John had some struggles, but I feel like that's a skill issue. So I'll give it like a 9 on the messiness scale.
I'm going to disagree there. I think I'm going to give it a 5.5. In my opinion, it was the hardest gyro to eat so far.
What?
I think it was just very different in construction, so my normal gyro eating strategies did not work.
I think that this was probably one of my cleanest ones until near
This
the
was
near the one of the cleanest, by far one of the cleanest. And it's because my years of experience eating at Chipotle were able to kick in.
Reagan wildcard?
I got the shawarma plate. I wasn't expecting the vegetables to be mixed with the beef, but it was a pleasant surprise. 72.
Price.
I'm going to give this like a 3. It was definitely more expensive than the other ones, but it also came with fries.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4. It came with fries, but it was really expensive.
I'm giving it a 2.5.
I am also going to give it a 3. This was very expensive for a euro compared to all the others so far.
Restaurant presentation.
10 out of 10. Beautiful place. Big fan of it.
9 out of 10 would be a 10, but there's a giant plastic like thing on the ceiling.
I'm gonna give it like an 8 because the pan thing just like feels like it's staring at me. And I also don't know, like it is very heavily decorated. I don't know if I vibe with the decorations though.
I'm gonna give it, I think, a 9.5. I'm only docking minus 0.5 points for the plastic thing because it's not like they put it there. Like they're obviously trying to fix something, I think.
Customer service.
This is a sit-down restaurant, good service. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. The only better service I've had on the app came from the Bob.
Let's get to 10. Our waiter was very nice.
I will give it a 10 also. Very good service.
Speed.
I mean, maybe like a 5. I think it was about average speed.
I would give it like a 7, 8. I'll give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 9 because this was very quick considering that there's also fries and 4 of us and they literally brought them all out sequentially.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 on speed, I think, because it is a sit-down restaurant, so you have to scale it kind of differently, but I feel like it was able to compete with the fast food Euro places, even though it was a sit-down restaurant. So if you're looking for a quick sit-down Euro experience, this is pretty good.
Taste.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. I think it tasted nice, but it was harder to taste the meat than in the other Euros.
I'm gonna give it a 6. I feel like everything was really good, but the proportions were just like way off. It was like completely drenched in sauce, and the sauce was good, but like way too much of it.
I'm gonna give it a 5. I don't know if I vibed with this Euro. I feel like I would prefer all the other Euros that we've tried, especially with the price. I agree the proportions were off, and I also had a difficult time tasting the meat. There also didn't feel like there was nearly as much meat as I needed there to be.
I will give it a 4.5. I think it definitely is a different taste than all the other ones. I think it had a different flavor profile, and I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the other Euros. There wasn't enough like vegetable, and I couldn't quite taste the meat as much, so.
Food presentation.
I'm going to go ahead, give it a 10 out of 10. Nice plates, pile of fries next to it. Very picturesque, a lot of sauce.
I would give it probably like a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know what would get a 10 out of 10, but this was not it.
I would also give it like a 9 out of 10. This was very good presentation, but the tin foil or the aluminum foil is just like not doing it for me. I prefer the paper that we've had in the past.
I will also give it a 9.
Quality of food.
I'm going to give it a solid 8.5. Everything was pretty high quality.
I'm gonna give it like a 7. Everything was good, except I didn't like the tomatoes. Felt like they were pretty mid tomatoes.
I'm also going to give it a 7. The tomatoes were mid, and the cucumbers were just, like, I have had a lot of cucumbers in my life. These were just very mid cucumbers.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think everything was pretty good. It wasn't like crazy quality, but it was also about what you'd expect from a sit-down restaurant.
Mess.
I'm going to give it a 7. There was a lot of sauce, but it was not a huge problem.
I'm gonna get a 7. While I did not struggle, I feel like the amount of sauce made it hard to not struggle.
I think that I would give this a solid 6.5 because I struggled, but I think that I was more the problem than the food. Because I literally at one point was like, wow, this is the least mess that I've had thus far. But then everything fell apart because I think I started holding it in a different way. So, but I do feel like the sauce was very runny. So regardless, it was, and some things were falling out. So regardless, it wasn't perfect messiness, even though I probably was the problem. But my rating, my rating will probably be slightly biased.
I'm giving this a place a 10 on mess. I probably spilled like one piece of onion, a dot of sauce, and a tiny chunk of tomato. This is the least mess I've ever made, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of this restaurant for allowing me to do this. I'm just so amazed at my own performance.
Kayla Wildcard.
This gets like a solid 10. Like, there's just something about being in this place that makes me feel like it is wrong to eat a gyro, and there's also so many other things other than a gyro that it is not nearly as gyro centered as all the other like actual gyro places on the app. I don't know, I feel like I would literally have gone anywhere else other than this place if I was ever craving a gyro.
Price.
I think the price was pretty reasonable, like $8.99. So I'll give that a 7.
I will also give the price like a 7. Actually, maybe a 7.5 because I feel like $9 is very fair.
I would give the price an 8.
I'm gonna agree with Jason.
Restoring protection.
I'm gonna say an 8. I think it's nicely decorated.
I think I've rated all of them a 10 so far, so this one gets a 10.
This also gets a 10 for me. This is exactly what I want any food place like to look like. It looks just enough, not like major chains, to where I feel comfortable eating at them, and also ensured that it has high quality and like decorated enough like uniquely to the point where I will remember what it is.
I will also give it a 10 on presentation, mainly because the employee guy is also wearing a bucket hat. Just every part of it is, it's a 10 out of 10 experience for sure.
I'm observing.
I'm gonna give it a 9. They were very nice, very quick customer service. They brought the food to their table.
It's really good, although the guy is arguing with somebody at the door like right now, which is very funny.
It's a 10 for me. This man was so nice to me. Like, he gave me a smile and everything.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I didn't actually order this time, but he did bring the food to the table, which is very kind. And the bucket hat, so, you know, 8. I didn't even have to speak to him, but I knew it was an 8.
It was void.
I have no idea how fast it was. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think it was about average.
I would also give it a 5. Everyone else was on their phones the whole time, so it probably felt longer because everyone was being antisocial.
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.5 because I feel like it came out pretty fast, but there was also like a time towards the end where I felt like I was waiting, so it wasn't quite as fast as it could have been.
I will give it a 7 on speed. It wasn't the quickest, but it also didn't take too long. It was just about average-ish.
7.
Same as Jasper.
What did you guys give it?
Why does that matter? Don't tell us.
No, because I didn't hear what you gave it. I'm gonna give it a 7 because actually I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I really like the baklava and I feel like that makes my opinion towards the gyro biased. Although I do feel like the gyro meat was really good. I just don't know if I can judge it the best because our proportions were off and it wasn't their fault. It was because John and I split it and like there was significantly more vegetables that ended up on John's half than mine. But I'm gonna sit at a 7.5.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5, so the average rounds out to 7. But it was pretty okay.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it was presented nicely. I like the little checkerboard and little red tray.
I'll give it a 9. I feel like I don't have any qualms with the presentation here.
I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. This gave a lot of like ambiance. It just looks like it has good vibes. I don't know how else to say it.
I think the presentation is pretty average. I'm giving it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I think it was pretty decent quality ingredients. The meat was nice.
I'll give it an 8. I had no problems with the quality, but nothing really stood out as amazing.
The meat gets a 10, the veggies get like a 7. Overall, I think I'd give it like an 8.
I would agree with that. The vegetables like were slightly off. I don't know how to describe it, but they didn't feel like peak vegetables. I think that might have been the type of lettuce. I don't know. But different type of lettuce. So I will give it a 7.
Mace.
I'm gonna give this a 6.5. I think it was like a little bit on the messier side, but still not a problem for old Jasper here.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I struggled like a little bit. I mean, not as much as John, but like more than usual probably. But it wasn't horrible, so I'll give it a 7.
This gets, I also feel like my rating for this is also slightly unreliable because we did have to split our sandwich in half manually, and by manually I mean by my hands. But I feel like regardless of that, it wasn't all that messy, so I'm gonna give it like a 7.
So here's my mess analysis. Pretty good. I don't feel like I made the biggest of messes. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 on the mess. It was definitely less of a mess. Is that because this place was less messy or because I've learned how to eat gyros? No one knows.
I feel like this means that I need to raise mine to an 8. Like whatever John has, I need to surpass that because he like has really high standards for this, and also I need to give them grace because we did split it. I'm raising mine to an 8. What was the most that I gave? 100? This gets 101. I just really like this place. There's just like nothing that I can think of that went wrong during this trip. There have been things that have gone wrong. Like even today, my bathroom experience in the last place was not good. John, you should put the picture in. Anyways, I really like this place. There's something about it. I would walk all the way down here to get a gyro from here if it wasn't so inconvenient. But it is like the best gem on the edge of the app. This gets 101.
Alright, the ratings are in, and the categories have all been weighted appropriately, so let's take a look at the final results. The Gyro stores are going to be ranked purely on their points, but I'm also going to hand out awards for the best and worst in every single category. Coming in at number 8 with 56 points, we have Sultan Gyro's Grill. Besides the lack of Wi-Fi and the bland restaurant design, which is mostly excusable, the gyro just wasn't that good compared to some of the other options. While it's definitely not horrible by any means, there's definitely other places I'd recommend. Coming in at number 7 with 63.8 points, we have Alladin's Gyro-cery. Don't get me wrong, this is an absolutely delicious gyro. In fact, it won awards for having the best taste and best food quality. Unfortunately, it fell short in some of the other categories. It boasted the worst score in customer service, speed, and mess. While Alladin's did come in at number 7 overall, I would still recommend this as one of the most delicious gyros on the app. Coming in at number 6 with 64.21 points, we have Samir's. While Samir is a lovely man, his gyros just couldn't compete with the rest. He had the worst scores on taste, quality of food, and food presentation. His other food is good though, so if you are going to go to Samir's, I would just recommend getting something other than the gyros. Coming in at number 5 at 66.59 points, we have Costa's. Costa's is in kind of a weird place, as it's the only sit-down restaurant on our list, which makes it hard to grade with everything else. It scored the worst on price, but it was also the only restaurant that served complimentary fries with the dish. It also wins an award for being the least messy gyro on the app. I would say that Costa's is a good restaurant, and if you're there, you could consider getting yourself a gyro, but if you're already craving a gyro, I wouldn't recommend going there specifically for one. Coming in at number 4 with 72.49 points, we have the South Ave Shawarma King location. This was definitely one of my favorite gyros on the app, and it won an award for having the best price. The gyro was absolutely delicious, and I don't have anything negative to say about it. Now, onto the podium. All of these restaurants were absolutely amazing, and I would recommend all of them. In fact, they're only separated by a margin of 0.5 points, so they're all pretty good. Coming in at number 3 with 73.29 points, we have the North Ave Shawarma King. Despite being part of the same chain, the two Shawarma Kings are actually pretty different in terms of not only restaurant presentation, but also gyro construction. For example, the North Ave location featured a different type of lettuce compared to many of the other gyros. While the gyro was absolutely delicious, the only drawback to this location is how far up the app you have to go to visit it. And now, we're down to our final two restaurants, Cedar's and Alladin's Falafel Corner. Winning the title of Best Gyro Place on the app by a margin of 0.2 points, we have Cedar's. Now to start with Alladin's Falafel Corner, it scored 73.5 points and it was an absolutely amazing location. It won an award for having the best food presentation as well as speed. I definitely don't have anything bad to say about it. The gyro was absolutely delicious. It had sliced meat, which was unique among all the other locations, and I would highly recommend visiting it. That being said, Cedar's was just barely able to eke out the win by getting 73.76 points. Cedar's wins the individual award for customer service, and it's absolutely unmatched by anyone else on the app except for maybe Samir. Cedar truly cares about his customers, and that's reflected in the quality of food that he serves. The gyros are wonderful, and to top it all off, it's located right in the center of the app, making it an extremely convenient location. It definitely deserves the title of Best Gyro Store on the app. And with that, we conclude this lengthy review of every gyro store on the app. Thank you if you stuck around this long into the video. I know it was a bit of a doozy. I'll see you all next week.